What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more Spandau Ballet. And we're here to complete the 1989 album Heart Like a Sky. Big thank you again to Phil, as well as to Han Solo, who shared Spandau before that. And yeah, the last tune on the album is A Handful of Dust. So it sounds like there is an implied passage of time. Dust in a literal physical sense is actually... Hello, Luca. It is human skin / hair, so like dust in a more general sense, let's say, relates to the breakdown of something's physical integrity or characteristics into its tiniest constituent parts, and as such, dust is seen as the remnants of what was. So in that regard, I wouldn't be surprised if we're dealing with the aftermath or the remaining evidence of something which used to be whole or complete. And with an album title that refers to heart, I do wonder whether this will have an emotional residue. It'll be the remainder of that which used to be whole emotionally. That would be my thought. Now, a handful of it suggests that it was substantial. There was a fair amount, but also, again, that you are holding that which is no more. Now, all of that might have nothing to do with the song, but again, dust in an artistic context, I think, is often related to that which used to be and is no more. So let's see what I can pick up on a first listen. This is Spandau Ballet. It's the final tune on their 1989 album, Heart Like a Sky, and it's called A Handful of Dust.
Pressed your face against my heart. I felt like you could love with a handful of dust. Making love through electric skies. Now I know where my fortune lies. Read the air and feel this land, 'cause it's slipping through me like dust from my hand. How can you give me your love? I just can't give you enough. How can you give me your trust? With a handful of dust. I just can't give you enough. How can you give me your trust? With a handful of dust. How can you give me your love? Now give me your love.
So I do like how the song really came alive in the back half. I enjoyed the more mellow and kind of emotional ballad type of feel of the first half of the song, but in the second half it really, I'm still going, it really sprung to life and got more energy and power, and I enjoyed that because I think the album ends more strongly with the way this track built up and flourished in the back half. Again, I still would have liked it if it remained in the more low-key mode of the first couple minutes of the song, but I really like what it did in terms of the chronology of the track itself. Secondarily, when it sort of explodes in the chorus, there's a line that's not Hadley, right? Like, there's a line that's like a higher vocal. Maybe he just kind of switches his delivery for that line, but I feel like that was not Hadley. So I feel like there were multiple vocals, and certainly there were some like backing vocals that I imagine was not exclusively Hadley, even if that may have been his voice too. But yeah, I feel like there were maybe not two leads, but like a secondary vocal on this one that was somebody else in the band. It is interesting to me, again, I don't know too much about the history of the band still, but I did that watch along over on my Patreon for the border, sorry, what is it? I'm blanking on because I always remember I thought the album title and the song title were different. Just want to make sure, but yeah, Through the Barricades, and it was just Barricades. No, it is Through the Barricades. Okay, so that's right, because the first one is like Barricades Introduction. In any case, I did a watch along for Through the Barricades, and it was like, I don't know, the mid-2010s, and they had sort of come back together, and they were talking about their history as a group and so on. So like, as I sit here now, I don't know what, if anything, comes immediately after this in their catalog, so I'll have to check online. And again, big shout out to Solo, who helped the Spandau journey continue once I ran out of albums that Solo had given me. But I do wonder, what the dynamic is at this point in the band, knowing that at some point they went their separate ways because of, internal conflicts and so on, and eventually came back together. Though I think a few years after that, Hadley left again, and I don't think they're active, right? So yeah, ultimately, as this album comes to an end in '89, I am wondering exactly, what was the state of the band, and if there is another album that comes immediately after this, or if there's like a gap. In any case, yeah, I do enjoy this song. I don't really know what's happening. I mean, that main line, which is like, how can I take your trust when it comes with a handful of dust or something like that? Like, that, I think, speaks to the idea of, and in fact there was, before I even finished that sentence, there was another line about how, like, slipping through your hand like dust, which I did think about in advance. I didn't mention it, But, there's some famous lines. I'm thinking of the line from Leia in Star Wars about if you try to hold on to something too tight, it can slip through your fingers, which, dust, fine grained sand and so on, that of course is going to happen. So I feel like maybe there is something about uncertainty when it comes to emotions vis-a-vis the narrator and another person, but clearly like geography was about it too. There were multiple references to like this town and this land, and it sounds like he's maybe gonna leave this town, whether that's literal or at the very least emblematic of movement, like emotionally or in time. But yeah, it seems like maybe there is something to the idea of leaving, finding new frontiers, or maybe starting over somewhere else, something like that. But yeah, the lines, I wasn't able to piece them all together on a first listen. But yeah, again, I enjoy the guitar work. I do enjoy the way the tune in some ways actually sounded less Spandau like. I've mentioned, as we've gone forward in time, and a couple people were saying, like by this point I think they kind of lost the magic that they had with, earlier releases like Gold and so on, and True. But I have, throughout the course of this album, heard at least a few of the tunes that were like, oh, to me I hear continuity. This one felt a bit less typical Spandau, though I will say, like, when the brass was flourishing, and I did enjoy, I mean, it wasn't like a saxophone line where it's like, because to me, again, I've mentioned, a number of Spandau songs can be clearly identified in terms of the band because they just have these swanky saxophone parts. That's not what the brass was here. It was more like these bright and quick flourishes that, maybe like trumpet or trombone, I'm not sure. I think trumpet is what I would guess. Nevertheless, they were a bit different than like a typical Spandau brass part, but they still kind of grounded the tune, and where it's like, in a certain respect, this is kind of what I've known from this band, have brass parts. So yeah, I did enjoy, as I said, the way the song got fuller and came more to life and got more energetic and powerful as the song went along. Either way, I do think it is a good album closer, and I very much did enjoy the album. And while we're here, why don't I just check something very quickly, and I'll see what is the case with Spandau at this point in their career. Okay, here we go. So yes, this was 89. We'll click on their band page. Okay, so... oh yeah, so it's a huge jump. There's like a live album released in 2005, but that's obviously already like 16 years later, and 20 years after Heart Like a Sky, we have an album called Once More from 2009. So in the moment, I don't know if that's something that is in Phil's collection, so we'll figure that out. Either it'll be there, or I'll poke around online, see if I can find it. But I would like to hear that, if not only because I've just enjoyed the larger Spandau journey and I'd rather not have it be over, but secondarily, anytime you have a really long gap like that, after 20 years, music conventions, production techniques, recording standards, and the age of the group members and their experiences and what they might songwrite about, and what type of genre they might go for, that all has the potential to be notably different. So I do wonder what Once More might entail. So one way or another, we'll go through that. Do let me know what you think of this, and I will see you next time. Peace.